MVP winners, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, who are both favorites to win the award again. Now, we are joined now by Fox Sports NFL analyst Michael Vick. Now, Michael, you were the first black quarterback to be selected #1 overall. It's now happened 5 other times. So how would you rate the progress of black quarterbacks in the NFL?
I think it's been extraordinary over the last 20 years. I think back to 1999, that draft when Akili Smith and Donovan McNabb and Dante Culpepper, and then in the 3rd round, Sean King was drafted. That draft did so much for me as a player, as an individual, as a black man, because there was a lot of stereotypes beforehand, and I got stereotyped from another black man who played in the National Football League, who seen me my first time in high school throwing the football when I was just out on the field trying to get better. And he looked at me and he instantly said that I would be a DB. And, it hurt me deeply inside, but it also motivated me. But that draft that gave me a sense of hope and pushed me to work harder. And I felt like the game was trending, the quarterback position was trending in a different direction. And it was because of that draft when I seen multiple black quarterbacks get drafted. And now here we go, 20 years later, week 1, 10 quarterbacks starting for NFL franchises. 7 out of those 10 guys are Pro Bowlers and multiple MVPs amongst them. And, we continue to make progress. But I do have to say this. I have to give a lot of credit to the front offices, the general managers and the coaches who are believing in black quarterbacks and believing that they can get the job done. Those coaches are taking advantage of the talents that we possess and making this generation better than the generation before us. We was guys who was, products of our system, myself and Donovan and Steve McNair. But it was cool. It was all good. We had to pave the way. And now, you have coaches who understand, how to use guys' talents and, made us relevant. So, we're trending throughout the National Football League, and we'll continue to do so. Most importantly, the guys who are playing the game now, who are doing it better than us, and I continue to say that, understands their place now and how much they'll affect the next generation of black quarterbacks to come.
Before you go, Michael, I'd never heard that story about a black man told you you couldn't play quarterback. Can you give us a little more detail? I don't know if you're able to say who it was or at least what his position was?
When I tell this story, and it rarely comes out, but I was just thinking about it this morning and just the impact it had on me because I went through so much mentally in terms of, thinking about changing my position, not wanting to waste my scholarship or waste my time, rather. And then to hear that from a good friend of mine, and I'll say it was Antonio Banks. He played at Virginia Tech. He played for the Minnesota Vikings. And we have a good relationship to this day. But Antonio motivated me more than he would ever know. And, I took into consideration that, once I seen that, Andy Reid took Donovan and Minnesota took Dante Culpepper, it wasn't about what he said. It was about, how can I go out and produce and show that I'm worthy of being put in that position. And 3 years later, I'm drafted #1. So that's changed within itself. And, shout out to the Atlanta Falcons who gave me that opportunity, who believed in me as a young black man, as a 20-year-old black man, to be the face of their franchise.
Mike, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the blacks are beginning given more opportunities. And not just in football, it just shows to show you, Skip, and you and I talk about this all the time on our show, is that when given the opportunity, blacks can succeed just as well as white can. It's all about being given the opportunity. Now, I believe there have been other black quarterbacks that could have succeeded. They were quarterbacks in college, but they were forced to go to Canada if they wanted to continue to play, or if they wanted to play in the NFL. As the guy told you, you should switch positions, either become a cornerback, become a wide receiver, or play the running back position. Warren Moon is a pure drop back passer. He was not, yes, he was mobile. Yeah, he was athletic, but he was a drop back passer. Now, if you want to go to Canada. So now we're seeing these opportunities that guys like, hold on, wait a minute. These guys have been quarterbacks their whole life. They've never played wide receiver. They've never been a defensive back.
Right.
They've been a quarterback. Let's give them an opportunity. Lamar Jackson's mom said, my son is a quarterback. He is not switching positions. So for me, just for as you mentioned, Mike, the front office, to give these guys an opportunity to succeed at that position. You've been a quarterback? Okay, son, go play. And not only are we going to let you play, we're going to build a system that's conducive to what you can do really well. Because a lot of times, coaches were hell-bent set in their ways. Well, this is the offense that I run. Well, he can't run my offense. John Harbaugh says, you know what? I'm going to take this guy, along with Ozzie Newsome. We're going to take that guy. We're going to find a guy that can build an offense around him. Instead of putting a square peg in a round hole, we're going to get around a circle for a circle. And that's what they've done. So kudos to all these front offices, to be at the Kyler Murrays, the Deshaun Watsons, and Skip. They're the best players. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football, the best quarterback. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray's coming.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're not only starting, they're dominating.
They make it seem like these guys are some fringe players. Yeah. No, they just happen to be the best players at that position in football right now, and it's a lot of them.
So allow me to publicly say I'm proud of this league and the progress it's made racially at that position, which is obviously the premier position in sports.
Yep.
And let me say to Michael Vick, I'm proud of him because he was a trailblazer, because he was the first overall pick. And that opened another huge door for those who came pretty soon. Jamarcus Russell, who obviously didn't work out, but he was the next one. And Cam worked out, and Jameis, I think, is working out, and Kyler is definitely working out. So Michael opened a big door, and I appreciate that, because there's a lot of pressure that goes with that.
Absolutely.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Let me also say that, weirdly, I fell into the forefront of all this when I came out of college, and I wound up out here in Los Angeles at the LA Times. I'm going to remind everybody, it was starting then, because I started covering the LA Rams in the mid-1970s, and guess what? Guess what? They had a black quarterback named James Harrison. He was the starting quarterback. Shaq. He's your guy.
Shaq.
And he was doing it, and he was under extreme heat here in L.A., but he stood up to it. He was really good. He was as pure a thrower of the football as you will ever see at about 6'4". He was pure drop back. He had no cam in him at all.
Right.
Okay, and I'm also covering some USC games, and Vince Evans is the starting quarterback for the Trojans and was the MVP of the Rose Bowl in like '77 and got drafted by the Bears and became their starting quarterback. So that was pretty good.
Right.
And then I went up to Washington, covered a Washington State game, and there was a quarterback for Washington named, Warren Moon, who should have been a high pick. You could just see it. He could operate, man. And they forced him to go to Canada. And then I've told you the story. I also got sent to Grambling, Louisiana to spend a week with this young man named Doug Williams, who should have been the first overall pick. He was prototype, classic. What's Doug, like 6'5" or 6?
6'4", probably about 230.
230, and could just wing it. And he went 17th overall, which is, at least that's a start, right? And I told you I had one prominent GM tell me he does not have the mental capabilities to handle our league. Yeah, well, all he did was win a Super Bowl, become the first black quarterback. Okay, so the door started opening through the 80s because we had Randall Cunningham, and then it led to Steve McNair, and then it led to that draft, as Michael pointed out. You want to talk about breakthroughs, because Donovan goes second overall, and Akili Smith went third overall, and Culpepper went 11th overall, and here we went. And here came Michael Vick.
And the thing is, Skip, here's the thing, Mike, and you can, and for African Americans, we understand this. If we get an opportunity to do something, Skip, you got to succeed. Because if you don't, you say, see, I told you they couldn't do it. That's what Jackie Robinson had to endure. Skip, he had to take it, but he had to be a good ball player. Or else they're going to say, see, that's why we never gave you an opportunity.
I agree.
And so now, it's just like when the integrated football, they was like, and they're like, hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me we letting go this untapped talent, Skip, in college, where the blacks had to go to, HBCUs. And then they realized, like, hold on. You mean to tell me they got guys down there that can do that, that can run that fast? Hold on, we got Bob Hayes down here. He won the gold medal with 64. And we not going, let's get that. Let's go get the Mel Blunts. Let's go get the Art Shells. Let's go get the Willie Lanier's. Let's go get these guys. And so when you black and you're the first at something, you better be damn good. If you go to Harvard, you're the first black, you better get all A's. If you're the first to do something, Skip, you better not get no C's because they're going to say, hey, see, I told you, he couldn't do it. So not only must you be good,